Just have to give it a minute for all the attendees to file in.
Yeah, there's 9, 10.
Someone's got their hand up already. Frank, do you want to put in the chat what your question is? Folks, we're just gonna give it 1 more minute or so for people to file in, and then we'll get started. In the meantime, if you can sign in for attendance purposes in the chat with your name, and if you are affiliated to any organization, you can put that in as well.
Michael Faley is an attendee. You might want to promote her.
Okay.
And Rick Fogarty is also an attendee. You should promote him.
And I'm assuming.
Rick, oh, okay, that's it.
3, 4.
Dania Hopkins, also from Parks. I just saw her. Lisa Wise.
Okay. Hold on. A lot of people we gotta move. The 347 number, is that Jamil?
Hey, Mike, yes, that's me.
All right, awesome. It's sad, I like know the beginning and ending of your numbers by heart.
If there are any presenters in panelists, in the attendees mode, can you please send another chat so we can promote you to panelists for presentation?
Trevor, Frank has his hand up because he's saying he'd like to make a quick public comment if he could.
Frank, what we're doing, okay. Hold on 1 second. So I'm gonna have Frank and Rouse.
So again, if you just joined us, please sign into the chat with your name and any organizational affiliation for attendance purposes. We will get started in just a minute. Trevor, what do you want me to do?
Just give it 1 more minute because I'm trying to, in full board, we typically promote the people who want to speak temporarily to panelists to allow them to speak, and then we move them, correct?
You don't have to do that. You can also just allow them to speak.
We can leave them in the attendees and just allow them to speak. That's what I've done. No.
Got it.
They show up as in the grid because they're able to speak, but they're still in the attendees.
Understood. All right, so you can go ahead and start and explain the Zoom.
All right, everyone. Sorry for the late start, but welcome to the May meeting of the Parks and Resiliency and Waterfront Committee, whatever we're called now. And I am Michael Marino. I am your Zoom facilitator for the meeting. Again, we use the chat feature for attendance purposes only. So if you have not signed in yet, please do so with your name and affiliation if you are affiliated with a neighborhood organization. We also use the chat feature for any technical problems that you're having. So the chat is set only to come to the host of the meeting. So keep that in mind. We don't like to have secondary conversations going on in the chat. We are doing a different format this month for the meeting as far as the Zoom functionality because of some issues that happened at last month's meeting. So we're using the webinar feature this time around. So you still have the ability to raise your hand. So again, the structure of the meeting is still the same. Trevor Holland is the chair. We'll go through the agenda items. The presenters will present their item, after which Trevor will take comments and questions from community board members first, committee members first, and then if there's other community board members on the call, which I see we have at least one, they will be asked if they have any questions, and then we'll take public comments and questions from the community. And during that time, we ask you to use the raise hands feature when you to identify yourself that you want to make a comment or ask a question. We ask you to keep your comments and questions to 2 minutes, and to also keep them relevant to what was presented, and not to bring up something new or something that was presented 3 months ago and already decided or voted on. The meeting is being recorded for open meeting law purposes. So keep that in mind as well. And I believe that is everything. There's some people on the phone. So if you're on the phone, it is *6 to mute and unmute yourself, and *9 to raise your hand. And the agenda is on the screen. When the screen is being shared with either the agenda or the timer for public session, you can change the view in the upper corner of your screen. There should be an option to change the view if you'd rather see the grid of the people's faces or the person that's speaking, as opposed to what's being shared on the screen. You can do it there. Trevor, take it away.
Thank you, Michael. And I think he pretty much explained on and hit on everything we need to talk about before we start this meeting. But thanks again for coming. We did change the format, but please keep this in mind. As of June 8th, depending on what happens in New York and the governor and some other issues, we are going to probably move to in-person meetings. There's a possibility we will go to hybrid, but in some form or format, we will be meeting in person. So please keep that in meeting. So this is one evening where we go to panelist mode. And we needed to do it this way. That's all I'm going to say about that. We do have some things on the agenda that will take up some time, so we want to get started as soon as possible. I understand there are 2 people who want to speak, so I'm going to let, and you can promote or allow them to speak as needed. I'll and put up the timer, please, Michael. Frank will go first, and then Val, and then we'll move into the Parks Manager update.
Hey, so should I start right now?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm working on the timer now, Frank.
All right, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the board. This is just a quick, what I would call update. At the February Parks meeting, Bruce Radler from Pier 36 was available. And I had asked him how we handle all the wayfinders that are still all around the neighborhood for immersive Van Gogh. The exhibition that was in Pier 36 for an extended period of time. And I did email twice each month as a follow-up. I did not hear anything back. So I know this is not really necessarily under the purview of CP3 Parks, at least I don't think. But I'm only saying this as an update because he was present at that February meeting. I reached out to Councilmember Marte's office for some assistance, and thus far Max Deutsch seems to be helpful. And I just want to recall again, I apologize for kind of crossing some boundaries, but I do remember in June on the SBA committee that there was a representative for Immersive Van Gogh who did state that those wayfinders would have been removed. So anyway, this is more of an update, and I'm happy to keep CBP Parks in the loop by email if you guys wish. But again, I'm just following up from February when that presentation was made, and I have not heard back on anything from Mr. Radler. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Frank. And I heard the same with regards to removing and putting those things down on the ground. I do believe we have a contact that we could circle in that might make this a little quicker. So loop the board in on an email, and I'll see if I can find a contact for you directly. Because I don't know how much what Bruce from Basketball City can do, but I do know that there's some other people who haven't been contacted that can handle that. But thank you. Val's next.
Yeah, let me just be quick about this. Some people expressed concern to me about the park. There's a park on between South Street and Cherry Street on Ruckus. And they've expressed concern that they've heard that this park is going to be turned into a parking lot. And this particular park is enclosed and also it's across the street from a senior center. So I don't know what can be done now, but I just wanted to bring it up because people have expressed concern to me and knew that this was the Parks Committee. So I'm bringing it up as a resident and neighbor to a variety of people. And so, like I said, I don't know what can be done at this point. I'm not sure exactly where they got this information, but they are concerned, especially for the senior citizens that live across the street. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. I know research is being done on that park because it is not a New York City park. It's actually private land, but living across the street from that, I know there's research on it going on to see as to whether there are certain restrictions for that property, but we will keep you updated.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, so we will go immediately to our Parks Manager update. And if Jamil is ready, he can give us update.
Trevor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we haven't done minutes or roll call.
You're absolutely right. And that's what happens when you try and move things. Ryan is not here. And I don't have the attendance.
Do it if you would like me to.
Yeah, if you can do the attendance and just carry the attendance from this one, we may have a resolution and the last vote. So if we can start with attendance.
It's going to not be alphabetical. Trevor
That's
Holland,
fine. Yes.
Kay Webster,
Yes.
Daniel Tanow,
Yes.
David Adams,
Yes.
Jerome Altman,
Yes.
Robin Chattel, Troy Velez,
Yes.
Sorry, yes, I couldn't get my volume to work. Yes, Michael, can you hear me?
thank you. Yes, I got both you and Troy. Thank you. Josie Velez,
Yes,
Michael Marino.
yes,
I got you, Josie. Carlin Chan,
Yes.
Ryan Gilliam. No. Did I miss anybody? I believe that's the whole committee.
Val.
Valentina, I am so sorry. Got ya. All right.
Thanks, everyone. If there are any objections to the minutes, please let me know. Otherwise, we will proceed. All right, Jamil, you're up next.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So my update starts on a very positive note. Effective this Monday, we will be opening up the Broome Street bathrooms at Sarah D. Capital has finished the work. All the gates will be removed over the weekend, and it will be open for public use officially Monday. Another good note is also we received some good positive staffing for the season, for the summer season. We received 2 seasonal supervisors, 1 seasonal step up, APSW, 2 CPWs, and 15 pop staff for the summer season. In fact, also on Monday, we're going to be starting a new cleaning crew. They'll be working 12 to 8:30. They will be addressing garbage pickup, bathroom cleaning, and also addressing park needs as they go around cleaning the bathrooms. It allows us to keep the bathrooms open for public use and maintain them at the same time. Over this past month, Partnerships has been out doing a great job with doing volunteer programs. We've done it at Luther Gullick, Seward, Captain Jacob Joseph, Nathan Strauss, First Park, Sarah D, and Allen Morals. All the stuff that has been addressed has been graffiti, they've been spreading mulch, they've been bench painting and litter removal. On my last note is the update on Pier 35. I spoke to Jamal today, who's the manager for that district. They've removed the electrical box. They said they believe the issue is the fuses. They've ordered replacement fuses. They're just waiting on a delivery of the fuses to come in, and hopefully that will address the issue with the lights under Pier 35. That's my update.
Thank you. Before I go to
I'm sorry, Trevor, I have one more thing. I'm sorry, I totally forgot. This is another great thing. Recreation is offering positions for PAs. I sent a posting to Mike and also to Susan. But it's a great seasonal job. They'll be working in parks in the district, doing programming for families and kids.
Understood. Thank you. Before I go to questions from committee members, I'm going to ask to keep this brief. I'm going to look at a new format going forward. Kay raised some issues, and I want to see if we can change the way we do this update going forward. Maybe not at the first in-person meeting, but in the future, just to make it a little more effective. And we don't necessarily address all the service issues with the Q&A. That being said, Josephine, go ahead.
Hi, Jamal, Josie, how are you?
I'm well, too. How you doing, Josie?
Good, good. Jamal, I'm still waiting for someone to come.
I know Michael has been out. He has some issues, some medical issues. Hopefully, I'm hoping he comes back in tomorrow. You're one of the first spots we're going to send to. We're very limited with gardeners right now. We lost a very reliable person. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Hello? Hello?
She had noise and she muted herself. Now we can't hear.
Oh.
Hello, I'm sorry.
Did he address your question, Josephine?
Yes, he did. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Jamal.
Josie, I'll reach out to you tomorrow and make sure I can send someone there to address the
Okay,
problem.
there isn't much to be done, but thank you very much.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Robin, you next.
Yeah, hi Jamal. Thanks for the update on the garbage pickup. That's awesome. I noticed a lot of overflowing garbage on the Grand Street area, Gould Park. I also got a report from people that the rat situation in Gould Park is still a little crazy, and so even some caretakers are not bringing their kids there for that reason. So just don't know if you want to look into that again. I'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I will, but let everyone know we do consistently. We do work orders to our exterminators to come out, and actually our numbers are going down. Some areas are more problematic due to the dumping issues, but I'll make sure the exterminators are aware of it so they can address it as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll end this with Kay.
Just wanted to thank you, Jamel, for the bathrooms at Broome Street. They'll be very welcome. And also, I hear that the BRC is going to get its windows and doors in July or August after 7 years.
I know. I'm sorry for the wait. But I'm trying to
Yeah, it was all you.
Just trying to give you a definite date when they're going to come out and do the work. They were looking at some of the work the other day, but I just want to make sure we have an official start date so you guys are aware of it.
All right. Thank you. Just thanks.
Thank you, Jamil. Appreciate your time. We will go to the next agenda item, which is this is part of our update for all of East River, but we are going to talk about the amphitheater tonight. I know that it was a working group meeting on that, and I don't know who's presenting, Mike, for that.
I believe Faye is sharing her screen and Q is doing the presentation.
So Faith and Q, if you want to introduce yourself and begin the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Q Amiri with DDC Coastal Resiliency. Happy to be back. I'll give a couple minutes for Faye to get the screen started.
Hi.
Faye, let me know.
Well, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
I'm doing it right now, Faye. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. At least I know it's not me.
No, it was me. It's all me.
No problem.
Did you all hear me when I introduced myself, or was that on mute?
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
we can hear you. You're good.
Okay, cool.
Do you guys see
all
the
right, so-
screen?
No, we don't see your screen.
Uh-oh.
I have the slides if you can't figure it out.
And there it is. Just Faye, we see your web browser.
Okay, how about now?
Perfect.
Sorry.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. So, hi, everyone. We have a really quick update for the amphitheater canopy structure. Wanted to give everyone this update now until we come back again with a lot more details in the next meeting. Faye, if you can skip to the next slide, please. We had a really productive and nice session with the amphitheater working group. Sort of picked up where we left off a couple of years ago. In 2019, there were 2 sessions and a presentation to the community board here. Then obviously the pandemic hit and we had to go on pause. This is just background for folks that haven't been really involved in the past. but we had to go on pause for a short time to secure the funding. And we were able to get all that up and running several months ago and get our design started again. And
Just 1 second.
Yep.
I'm not sure.
Yep.
Did you introduce yourself?
I did. I don't know if everybody heard me, but I'll
Okay,
do that
that's
again.
fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. So my name is Q Amiri with DDC, Department of Design and Construction, Coastal Resiliency team. And this amphitheater canopy structure is part of the outdoor amphitheater at the East River Park under the East Side Coastal Resiliency Project. So the canopy is one of the few design items that went on its own separate track as part of the commitments that we had, part of the larger project under ESPR. So we had a few weeks ago, we had a nice meeting with the amphitheater working group, really good feedback. And the design team right now is working on incorporating some of that feedback as much as possible. We're working with Parks Department and their operations and maintenance team and other units between Parks and DDC. So we have things in motion right now. Faye, can you skip to the next slide, please? Give you a really quick schedule update. We are here today where you can see that yellow dash line. We're planning on coming back in July to have a full detailed design presentation to folks here at the community board. And after that, we'll submit to PDC, Public Design Commission, for their review. So tonight, there's not much of a design detail here to be shown, unfortunately, and I don't have the design team with me, but things are still in progress, and we need a little more time, maybe a month or two, to get to July so we can properly show everything all together. Once we go through PDC, we'll wrap up our final design towards sort of fall time, September, October, and we'll go into our procurement. We have a really short period to get the contracts registered so we can make sure that we fold this into the larger construction package that's going on right now in the East Side project. I'm sure you're all aware of that. And that's our deadline that we're working towards right now. So we have to work our way backwards to make sure all of our milestones with community board presentations, the monthly dates, and the PDC submissions, our design timelines, everything sort of lines up, and we make sure that we're in line with the construction timeline. Next slide, please. This is just a quick overview for folks, just for background that may not have been involved in the past. The location of the amphitheater. The new amphitheater is going back to where the existing or the previous amphitheater was. So that's currently being rebuilt, and the canopy is an add-on to this outdoor amphitheater. And the rest of that is the parks programming on the ESCO project. Next slide, please. And we'll post this PowerPoint to the website for everybody to access. Again, another background image for an overview of the location. Next slide. Just a quick list of what we've heard in the past from 2 years ago when we started this sort of design effort with the canopy, and also things that came up during the amphitheater working group session, that there were a lot of feedback and input that we got from the landscaping and the site, and the seating options for accessibility, for having some seats with backs, and or other seating options that will give flexibility for folks for different times and different uses. Acoustics is a big concern. We took that into account. We have acoustic specialists and consultants on board that they've been looking into that. They did some studies and analyses, and they looked at materials, and they're helping us through this design process right now. And we're talking to the parks colleagues with this acoustic team to make sure that whatever we build, not only it's maintainable and operable from a park standpoint and meets their standard design and requirements, but it also meets the community needs from an acoustic standpoint as well. So this acoustic consultant is helping us with that. And design concept for structure, I'll show you a quick concept now. Next slide, please. Next one. Next one, Faye, please. There we go. I think everybody's seen this slide in the past. This is sort of where we left off with the feasibility study that was done in 2019. So we picked up where we left off with this sort of schematic concept that's on the screen. And the next slide, there we go. So that kind of evolved into the next iteration of the concept, which is this on the screen. And again, we'll come back with a lot more details that will have more finished rendering, and the design team can walk everybody through their design of the canopy and the reason. And there was some feedback that came up during the amphitheater working group session that we were asked to consider natural lighting, some lighting options for the canopy that we're looking into, and see if that's feasible or not for smaller groups, smaller events, acoustics again, and the timing of the events, permitted events, obviously, per parks requirement, there's a limit to that. I think it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night, but unpermitted events for smaller events, how could we sort of design this canopy that would accommodate the concerns of the noise and acoustics that go a little later in the evening that are smaller events and unpermitted. So we're kind of looking into all of that and trying to figure out what is the best way. And then, rain events and making sure obviously the stage doesn't get wet during an event. View and visibility was a big key factor here. Accessibility obviously is a big design criteria to make sure the stage is accessible from multiple different points for various different users. So this is all the design criteria that the design team is looking into, and they're incorporating as we speak. So I just wanted to give a quick preview of what's to come in July. I'm happy to take questions. Not sure if I can answer a lot of the technical design questions, but we will definitely, like we usually do, list all that and come back with the rest of our team, and we can pick this up in July. And again, once we present to the community board in July, we'll go to the Public Design Commission. We'll have a couple months there back and forth, and we'll provide more updates after that before we submit. Before we wrap up the final design, we'll present the final product here to the community and go into construction after that. And of course, we'll keep everybody in the loop of the next steps after that too. So, questions?
Yeah, thank you, Q and Faye, and the way we operate. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to first go to committee members, and then we'll fan out to members of the public for questions. So just keep this in mind that this is an update. Folks have been asking about the amphitheater for years, so we decided to put an update. This will come before our committee again in July for a resolution and a vote. So it's sort of important to put this in front of us now. But keep in mind that we're going to get a full presentation on this with design elements in July. That being said, I'll go to David, Val, and then I have a few comments. David?
I was just wondering, it looks from the design, you're still broadcasting straight towards the buildings. Is there any way you're working the design so it goes down the coast more? Or is it still towards the buildings across from the park there?
Yeah, it does give that impression. And this came up too during the working group session. The design team has a much better way than I do of explaining this, but really quick, and we'll come back and have them walk everybody through this in depth. But the stage itself has been pushed towards the water a little bit. So it's a little further away than what it was before to allow for more seating and larger capacity in that area with that site design. So as a result, the canopy is also pushed back over the stage. But I think the orientation was also a very tricky thing. There was a natural light and sun study that they did, as well as acoustics, as well as a view study, as well as access, because of the topography to the site and the way the stage is designed with the slopes, and making sure that the ramps, the ADA accessible ramps, were able to incorporate those. So there were a lot of layers that went one over another that sort of dictated that orientation. It wasn't necessarily just the acoustic and the noise issue that we could have sort of completely turned this around in another way. But this was the best case scenario, the happy medium that they found, and I'll have them explain this much better in the next meeting.
I just want also a way of layering the canopy so it doesn't project the noise as far away from the audience, but projects it back down towards the audience and away from the buildings as well.
Right. That it's being designed specific to that, to make sure the noise travels far enough for the audience that are sitting there, but somehow we try to limit it that it doesn't go too far across the highway to the residential areas. But again, keep in mind, this is an outdoor amphitheater anyway, and our hands are a little tied, and there's a lot of limitations that we have with containing the noise. And also the noise levels that folks will hear across the highway into the residential neighborhoods, most likely, for the most part, usually is the larger events that there are restrictions for that with timing. So hopefully with Parks operations team, we can sort of help mitigate that. But absolutely, I agree. I know that noise and acoustics has been a big issue for everyone here. So we're trying to really find that sweet spot that caters to an amphitheater being functional, and you can actually hear and the music and the events nicely and have a nice experience, but at the same time, it doesn't become a big nuisance to
boombox.
Yeah, exactly, to the buildings across the highway. So it's a tricky thing, but again, yeah, we'll walk through this more in details with the design team. They're much better equipped to show the technical aspects of it.
Thank you, David. Val.
Yeah, are you planning to go back to the amphitheater working group? Because I think that that's a very diverse group, especially that there are people that that are groups that present on the stage. And I remember that they brought up really important questions about the people that use the stage, the people that actually use it. As well as people that live nearby that were very clear about the acoustics. So I think that that's an important committee for you to go back to with the full designs that you have. So are there plans to go back to the amphitheater working group?
Thanks, Val. So we've collected a lot of feedback that included also that the group and a lot of folks that sort of implement and plan or run those events. So we collected a lot of input from a very, like you said, diverse group of folks, whether residents or event planners, performers, everybody. So I think we have a very large database of the requirements or the requests and needs of the community as a whole. And that's what drove this, for the most part. There were two big components that drove this design of the canopy. One was that from the community side as a large group, and the other one was Parks Department operations and maintenance to make sure that they're actually able to maintain this and clean it and service it. And if there's graffiti on it, they can access it. So there's a lot of little details that goes into that to that side too. So again, it's all about finding that happy medium sweet spot that if you think about it, we at DDC have multiple clients here. The community group, being all of you folks here, is one of our big clients. The other one is the agency, who's one of our clients. So we have to try to figure out how to bring the two worlds together. And to answer your question, we will not be having a follow-up amphitheater working group session per se. We're on a very tight deadline now to meet the construction deadline, and we need to make sure that this gets into the contractor's hands, so it gets built as part of the Project Area 1 timeline. But we will be providing, again, more updates at community board and the community board Parks committee here, and also available for conversations and accessible via email or calls if anybody wants to follow up with us.
Okay, so just hopefully at some point you go back to that group. I hear that you right now have some time constraints, but I think that was such a good, diverse group that had really diverse input and diverse questions that I think it's really important that you go back to them at some point. Yeah, I think it's important that you go back to them.
Absolutely, I agree. And I failed to mention too that obviously we have a mailing list that everybody that requested is included, and happy to take on more emails to add to that. But we'll instead of in lieu of having another meeting and another session to go through things, we'll push out updates via the email and upload things to the website. and obviously this community board platform here too. So we'll make sure everybody's in the loop and can reach us to have any follow-up conversations.
All right, thank you. Michael, I'm just gonna ask some questions, quick questions, and they're more about logistics than anything. With regards to opening and closing and what percent, and I don't have the schedule in front of me, but do you know when we think the amphitheater will open, or what's the projected date?
Opening, I have to get back to you. I need to check in with Desiree and our construction team on the latest schedule for construction. I'm not exactly sure, but this is meant to be this. We're working hard to align this with the project area 1 construction, so it all opens, gets constructed and opens all at the same time. So we won't have to shut down, if you will, the amphitheater stage to build this canopy and sort of play that game again. So hopefully this will all, our goal is to get all this lined up together and open it all at once.
Yeah, and I know there are multiple agencies involved, as we've learned on the committee, but the reason being we're going to lose a couple of summers where we don't have those summer stage and similar events. So we'd like, when this does open, to really have something that's for the community that we can plan ahead, because I think that would be really important for folks who are missing out on using the amphitheater. So if you can get that, or at least a projected date to us as soon as possible, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Trevor. Let me take this back and check in and see what that means, and if there's any leeway or flexibility. I'm not sure if there is, or I'm not promising. I'm not really involved in the day-to-day of the construction operations here. But if there is something that they can perhaps shift around, that it doesn't open, August 31st at the end of summer, or sort of accommodates some events towards the end or at the beginning of summer, somehow, if we can work something out, we'll look into that and get back to you if that's a possibility.
My last question before I go to Michael is that I know that I had mentioned the possibility of using or incorporating solar panels in the roof, and I wonder if that, I know parks sometimes use that as a challenge even in this day and age, but was that explored to talk about at the meeting?
That was explored. It came up during our amphitheater working group session. We haven't really closed that door fully yet. I think Parks is still reviewing internally, and we're going to take another look at it, but it's not looking as a likely option for a number of reasons of operations and maintenance, the solar orientation. I have to have the rest of the team here to explain all that, but it's still not fully off the table.
Okay, I'd like to stick my foot in that door just a bit before it closes, because I think this is a real opportunity.
I know.
Considering its location on the waterfront, I know the orientation, but if we can get a panel up there to at least power some lights or sounds, I don't know if we've done this in parks, but perhaps if we're building a brand new park and we're talking about resiliency, that we can incorporate some solar panels. I mean, I know we're doing lights at Pier 42 and Rick Fogarty's up next to talk about that, but I think there's an opportunity here, and it will also look pretty nice to use some solar panels. But I understand. I know from being on this committee for some time that just seems so far away. But thanks for considering.
Yeah, no,
please look into that.
Absolutely, that's a very good point that you raise, and we have internally we have multiple different sustainability resiliency guidelines for buildings and structures that we really take seriously, and it's always part of our baked into our base design scope all the time. So we do look at that as a default process of DVC standard projects, and then there's obviously the local laws that require that for a lot of the buildings, not necessarily for this structure because this doesn't qualify, but we are, as just best practice, we do look at that. So I'll have to get back to you and let you know of the final determination.
Thank you. Michael.
Yeah, just quickly, I wanted to go back to the issue of sound, and just I know, Q, that you're planning on coming back with the full team when everything is ready to be presented, but I just want to encourage you to make sure that full team includes the sound engineer guy that presented to the task force at our last meeting, because he really was able to explain very clearly and nicely to the task force about how the sound is going to be buffered by the way that the amphitheater is shaped and the way the hills that the audience are sitting on is reflecting the sound and whatnot. So I just strongly encourage you to make sure that he's part of that team that you bring back.
Yeah, absolutely. He's yeah, and there's a reason that he's the acoustic engineer and I'm not. But he will be part of the July meeting. Nate from our AKRF team, and we'll make sure that we have those experts in the room to walk us through all those questions and nuances.
Thank you. Kay, you'll wrap it up for committee questions.
I don't know if I'll wrap it up, but I just wanted to on that you will planning on coming back in July, and I assume at that point, and this may be to the chair, that we would be requested to vote on this. And I'm just wondering, given the few things like that, it might be possible to have someone with some knowledge come to the June meeting for some of the unresolved things that look like we could use answers to before we have to vote on it on that evening. So
Well, I hear you, and we've unfortunately been part of where we get the design before PDC and we have to do a resolution. But we have done this before, and we can put a lot of whereases and therefores in that resolution, and we've done it before. I just wanted to give us a preview before the July, because I think even though we're not getting that much information, that we can be prepared and be ready to talk about it in July. That's the only reason why I brought them here. For 3 months in a row, I think it'd be difficult because we get into discussion, but we'll get as much information to folks for July, for the July meeting.
Yeah, and Trevor, just to add to that, I'm sorry to cut in here. There's a few things just adding to that and answering to UK that unfortunately we have a very large community meeting exactly that same night for the June meeting for another project that we're not available to join. And the key people of our design team also have another commitment that they're all just colliding all at the same time that same night. So that's the unfortunate part of our scheduling. But I hear what you're saying. Maybe as a happy medium, a day or two in advance of the July meeting, I'll try to work with the team and see if I can get the PowerPoint uploaded to the website that will be accessible publicly, so you guys can at least look at it and collect your thoughts and have your notes ready. And during the July meeting, if there's anything that doesn't get addressed during that presentation and the slides, then like Trevor said, you can be ready with your conditions, whereases and all that.
Yeah, thank you, Q. Actually, that would be really good if it could go up, because then the public gets to see it and we get to see it, and then we can have our whereases all lined up. So there, I wrapped it up, Trevor.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You wrapped it up, but keep in mind, okay, that our resolutions do hold weight with the PDC committee. Just to let you know, we've had quite an impact on a number of projects, including the bigger project we're talking about right now. But thank you, Q and Faye. We will see you in July. I think we will be in person, or maybe hybrid, but I think we're going to be in person, so just be aware of that. And in terms of who the team is going to be, because I imagine it's still going to be a number of questions that need to be answered, and a lot of things that might need to be explained.
Oh, actually, this is Faye. I just wanted to also note that on the website, the Amphitheatre working group that was just held on April 27th is posted. So if you guys want to.
Video or the notes?
No, it's not a video. It's the deck that was used at that Amphitheatre working group session.
Okay.
It's on the website.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks for having us. We'll look forward to seeing you all in July. Thanks, Trevor.
All right, thank you, Q. Next up is an update on Pier 42 upland deck from Rick. I believe he is.
Trevor,
yes, I do.
Ask if there's any questions from other board members or community members first.
Yeah, quick. Faye, if you can hold on 1 second. We just lost Faye.
I don't think we have any. There was one hand up, but they put their hand down. Are there any members of the public that have a question about the amphitheater presentation we just saw? If not, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. Okay, I think you're good.
And folks, keep in mind that there will be a much larger presentation in July, which will have the full deck that they're going to present to the Public Design Commission. So there'll be lots of details in that meeting. Next up is Pier 42.
Thanks, Trevor. I hope you guys can hear me. The train's coming by in the background, so I apologize for the background noise. So right now we're in a bit of a holding pattern. We're waiting on permitting.
Rick, can you introduce yourself first, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Rick Fogarty. I'm the community liaison for the EDC Parks Pier 42 Upland Park project. We're just south of Esker. So like I was saying, we're in a bit of a holding pattern. However, we're still on schedule for the pier deck. That's going to be, the pier deck includes the basketball and tennis courts, the soccer fields, those amenities for summer of 2022. Now that's probably going to be later summer. And then the overall project, the master plan, which is going to include the park itself, the entry garden, the walking paths and playgrounds, comfort station, that's going to be completed in 2023 as of right now. So we'll know a little more probably next month when we get some of this permitting stuff done, but I'm free for any questions if anybody would like to. And to address something, Trevor, in terms of the green, if you have any questions about that, some of the comfort stations, I don't know about solar panels or anything like that on our project. And I don't know if Will had talked about it in the past, but I can find out for you if there are any questions about that.
Right, with regards to the solar, some of the lights are, well, a lot of the lights in Pier 42, the other portion will be solar powered,
Okay.
which is something that we managed to push for.
I thought I heard that.
Right.
Okay.
The other thing before I go to committee questions is you said you were in a bit of a holding pattern. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, we're just waiting on permitting for its, there's some lines that are running along the, basically where the shared use path is, where the greenway was, that run underneath that. And so we're just waiting to identify what those are and how we approach them.
Okay, and you anticipate a late summer this year opening for the deckline portion?
Yes.
I'm just trying to manage our expectations and also manage where we bring you in. We all know what the plan is. I know all of us don't. It's on the website, but I don't necessarily want to bring you in next month if you don't have the permits and you don't have any further updates. So when do you think it's a good time to bring you back to talk about where we are in this process?
I can, what I can do is pretty much I can kind of do a weekly basis and just look and see where I'm at, and I can message you to know where we're at on that. And if I need to come next month, I'm more than happy to do that. But I'll let you know if we get those permits in order. And also, with Susan, I stay in touch with her, so we'll make sure that you're informed on that.
Okay, and just please keep us informed. Please keep the office. Susan's probably a better option for keeping us informed.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I see two questions, and we'll go to the committee member, Troy, first.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Rick. Rick, I just have one question. With the tennis courts, was there any consideration to put the largest growing sport up there, pickleball courts up?
That's a good question. I honestly do not know the answer to that. I can find out if it can be modified to pickleball court. I definitely know the growing fandom of pickleball. So let me see if I can find out some information on that, and I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Troy.
Troy, I think that's also a good suggestion. I'll follow up on that. Just the issue we had is when we planned stuff, I don't know if anyone was playing pickleball at the time, and now it's growing into a much bigger thing, but that's a good suggestion in terms of using that area to the max. So that's, I will look into that also, just to let you know, but thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Troy.
Any other committee members? Michael, I can't click over to attendees.
Okay, okay. We've got two people, Frank Avila Goldman and Brian Byrne.
Right, so you want to go Frank first and then Brian?
Yeah.
Hey Rick, how you doing? It's Frank from Gouverneur Gardens.
Frank?
Long time no speak.
Yeah.
Not too bad, thanks. Spring is here, so that's good news for everybody at least. On hearing what you said, I know that you know this, so if anything, it's only just for the pressure of public support. Because you guys are opening this year, which is great for the deck portion, but that the restroom is not going to be open until next year. Do you have any idea? I could follow up with all the. But there was a period of time where they were seemingly investigating an interim comfort station for that year. And then you just mentioned that it won't open until 2023. Do you have any concept in the early part of the year, middle, late, anything along that? Anything more than just 2023? So it's a two-parter. One is, do you know if there's any discussion on interim comfort station, or is that just been jettisoned? And then the other is when that will actually be open. The final one. Thanks.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Frank. I have not heard anything about the interim, and it sounds like you may have heard a little more from Alda. That's something I can check on in our next meeting. I'll find out the information for that. I'll note that question down and get an answer for you. And additionally, I'll see if I can narrow down more of a solid time frame on 2023. That's just something I need to check in the meetings and make sure we get a date on that before I just, speak off the cuff. I'd rather have the right information for you. So I'll check on that and find out.
Right. And Frank, if you want to, there's another push going on for those bathrooms. Well, not just there, but everywhere, but there is a push for that. If you want to loop in together, because we're pushing the same rock up a hill to get those bathrooms before the beginning of next year. Just loop me in and I'll make sure we coordinate. Michael, do you see any other questions?
Brian, do you put your hand?
Oh yeah, Brian.
Do you not have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's a confidence level on the late summer estimate. Is it like 95%, or I was just kind of curious on that.
Yeah, I think the confidence is, I'd say, above 75%. I would say closer to 90%. That's it's hard to put a qualifier on it like that, but we're still on schedule. So I think that's pretty good confidence in late summer.
Thank you. And Rick, to follow up on that, the same thing as we were doing for the amphitheater, we want to do for the deck portion. So the closer we get to the confidence date, we like to be able to plan something. So just keep us updated.
Yep. Yeah, I've got these written down and I'll make sure and get some answers for you. And Trevor, if you don't mind, I can is it okay to send them to you?
Yeah, it's fine. I respond and I read my email.
Okay, great. I'll send them to Trevor.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No other hands up. You're good.
All right.
Hey,
Next
Trevor,
up.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
As you said, there is information on the internet, on the website, the EDC website for Pier 42. If you guys have any questions about the project itself that I can't answer, there is a wealth of information there. So I encourage people to you can Google Pier 42 Upland Park and we'll take you to the EDC website for that project. My information is on there. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to reach out to me via email or you can call me on the phone, either one. So.
Thank you, Rick.
You bet.
Next up is Little Flower Playground Comfort Station. This is part of a package, and we are happy to get funding for the comfort station as well as the entire park. And tonight we're going to talk about the renovation of the comfort station. I think we have Marlissa.
Donya, you already have ability to share your screen. Are you doing the slides or is Melissa? Oh, that answers my question.
Here we go.
Hi, sorry about that. Well, when you screen share and then everything moves around, I was trying to find the unmute button.
Thank you. We can hear you.
Okay, so my name's Donya Hopkins. I'm an architectural designer with Citywide Services at Parks. I'm going to be presenting the comfort station portion of the Little Flower Playground project. The goals of the comfort station reconstruction are to create a fully accessible and ADA compliant comfort station, to upgrade the existing finishes, fixtures, and equipment. We will be reconstructing the existing roof for durability, adding insulation for energy code compliance. We will be enhancing and adding to the amenities of the site by reconstructing the comfort station in tandem with the overall park reconstruction, playground reconstruction. We hope to, have a kind of full project. And we will also be converting the comfort station to electric heat. This will result in emissions reduction, and it will allow the comfort station to remain open year-round. Just a quick slide for the location of the comfort station within Little Flower Playground. The comfort station itself is just outside of the flood hazard zone. And the site itself is actually in the middle of a NYCHA complex in a primarily residential neighborhood. The next few slides will have some images of the existing condition of the building. You can see here that it has been painted over many times, just the exterior views, and then the slate roof itself. The women's and the mechanical room side as well. Some images of the inside of the mechanical room and the women's bathroom. And then this is a demolition plan to kind of go over some of the main points of the scope of work. We're going to be removing the wall between the men's and women's bathrooms and then reconstructing it. We will be removing where the masonry fill has been put in locations where there were windows so that we can have windows again in both bathrooms and in the mechanical room. The door openings will be widened as necessary for ADA accessibility. We're also going to remove the structural glazed tile and the floor tile throughout, and we'll be replacing it with a more modern looking spec. And then all of the plumbing fixtures and partitions will be removed and reconfigured for accessibility. Within the mechanical room, we're going to remove the existing gas powered furnace and put in an electric heater. Then we will also be replacing the electric hot water heater, the service sink, and we're trying to time the project so that we will be kind of working together with the overall larger construction, and the RPZ within the comfort station will be replaced along with an electrical upgrade. And then finally on the exterior, the roof above will be removed, and we will be removing all of the paint from the masonry so that we will basically have a brick looking comfort station again. This is a proposed plan. You can see I noted to repoint and seal the existing brick facade, the new interior wall, new floor drains in both restrooms, new fixtures and partitions, new wall and floor tiles. And then again in the mechanical room with the new electric heater, the RPZ, a new service and electric hot water heater. We will be replacing the roof and insulating as well. And the windows will have new windows installed. The windows will be translucent rather than transparent, so that you'll have natural light, but no one will actually be able to see in, along with the security screens on the outside. And then we will also be installing a new freeze-resistant wall-mounted drinking fountain and bottle filler. The next few slides are a couple of images from our park standards in terms of the black doors and frames, windows, the security screens, and then the addition of exterior security lights, the floor and wall tiles, some interior lighting, and then toilets. You can see the drinking fountain with the bottle filler that I mentioned, baby changing table. The partitions will be black rather than white as depicted here. We also have hand dryer and then just an image of the mirror. And then this last slide is to kind of show the community board has already seen the playground scope, but to just kind of emphasize that we are working together with the project managers on this project so that we're trying to align our timelines so it'll be minimal impact on the community, and then but also to illustrate if there is some time where the comfort station is under construction, but the playground is not, the playground will still be able to be accessed by the public. And that's all I have.
Oh, thank you, Tanya. Thank you for that presentation. I'm going to ask a few logistical questions. This comes in at 1.5 million for a bathroom, which always amazes me, but after being on the committee for quite some time, I think I understand. But the funding is from the excess demolition money, or is there new funding for this?
I'm actually not sure if I can speak to that. Marlisa, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the funding for the comfort station is a portion of the funding that was allocated for the playground and park reconstruction. So this is funding that came out of that overall budget. We did a lot of value engineering to make sure that we didn't renovate the entire playground and park and leave an aging and not ADA accessible comfort station. And just to speak to the budget question, we're aware as you are that the price of renovating comfort stations is very high, and we do all that we can to bring those prices down. This 1.5 is our budget amount, and we are bidding this out in a requirement style contract, which will hopefully let the price come in lower. And if it does, this is mayoral funds and it gets spent back in other parks projects. So it gets reinvested if it comes in below that 1.5.
Thank you. You mentioned it's a new roof, and I know Parks has some standards for roofs, so I assume this is going to be a green roof.
The roof itself, we're proposing a new metal roof, but we have not discussed installing anything really beyond just new insulation to meet energy code.
Is there something on this site or a reason why we can't look at making this a green roof? I know the one at Pier 42 will be a green roof, and I'm just curious as to why we aren't looking at it for here.
We're not looking at a green roof at this site because of the slope and material of the roof, which would not support the installation and maintenance of a green roof. So the choice of metal is to work with the existing roof structure, again, keep the budget as affordable as possible, and the green roof would not be able to be installed on that sloping metal roof.
I think that's the end of my questions based on that. Are there any other committee questions?
No hands are up, Trevor.
Okay, I know there's some participants who I saw raise their hand. I can't pull them up, but if you could call them out.
Sure. We'll go with Danette Chavez first, or Chavez. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. And then Julio, you will be after that.
Yeah, hi. My name is Danette Chavez, and I'm the TA president of LaGuardia. And I'm very happy about these plans to renovate, but disappointed that LaGuardia resident leaders weren't included in the process. We happened to stumble upon this information, looking into other information about the park. And I hope that going forward that we are included in whatever is going to be done concerning this park. We were, as stakeholders, included when they tore down the bathhouse. I believe it was $10 million was afforded to do that. And the remainder was supposed to be applied to what is now the synthetic lawn where people come and walk their dogs because there's a lack of enforcement. I would really like to see the Parks Department imply enforcement so that that area isn't destroyed before it's determined what's actually going to be there. The residents happen to do like it for a dog walk if it has actual grass and if it is enforced so that the residents in the area have use of it instead of people outside the community who come in at will. as far as this park is concerned, I really think that resident engagement should be involved here. You're getting ready to perform a major construction in the heart of LaGuardia, which again, I'm sure the residents would love, but we would like to have a say or be included in that process. What I would like to know is what is the estimated impact on the community? From what I saw, this is like a 28,000 square foot project. There's permits that are required. Are you even at the stage of getting the permits yet? What is the total impact on a community with this type of construction going forward? There's pits that are put there that the community love, and you're proposing to remove them or replace them. It seems to be up in the air. I don't know. Again, there needs to be a lot of resident engagement and participation in this process, and I hope that that happens moving forward.
Thank you so much for those comments. I just wanted to mention that our colleague Kusali, who is the designer for the larger playground reconstruction project, is here at this meeting. Kusali, I'm not sure if you, are ready to jump in, or if you could speak to the engagement with the larger project beyond just the comfort station, which is the project we're presenting tonight.
I just gave them permission to talk, so they should be able to answer that question.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kusali Vachananda. I'm the landscape architect for the design of the playground. So I'll join as panelists.
Yes, you can continue and we can hear you. I don't know where she went, Michael.
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi. So yes, at the beginning of the design, we're start that process of community engagement in around March of 2020, which in very much in the middle of COVID. It is the time that we weren't able to have a meeting in person. We had the community meeting, which we came here at CB3 via Zoom. And we found that the participation was very difficult in terms of getting community to attend the online format. Therefore, we work with the community to do the survey by paper, as well as the extended online survey, and have gathered information that we found that sufficient and have heard. And we relying on the community board essentially to confirm that all the stakeholders are included. So I'm sorry to hear that a portion of the community feel that they're left out.
Cicely, let me back up just a little bit, because I remember this pretty vividly, and that I know that what happened during that period of time. There was a previous TA where they reached out to do the survey, and we did have a meeting based on that. I wasn't part of that meeting because that was a meeting held specifically for the scope of the playground area. But that was back in 2020. And I know there were some subsequent meetings regarding that, but I do know they did outreach, or they attempted to do outreach with the previous TA leader. Michael, I can't see who's next, or.
The next would be Julio.
Hello.
We got you.
We can hear you.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. My name is Julio Cordova. I'm the recording secretary for LaGuardia Houses. My question is, and I understand that we're talking about the comfort station. However, I had put in a few requests through the Parks Department, as well as with 311 and the Department of Health, with regarding the rodent issue that we have in that park, as well as the lighting and the rodents affecting some of the forestry in that park. I then received notifications back that they were going to be removing, that the Parks Department was going to be removing some of the trees that are there and never heard back anything regarding the lighting, which is not lit at all, especially at night. And with the rodents themselves, there was no response other than the Parks Department received notification regarding it and it will be dealt with, and that was it. To date, I have not seen any notices going up as to whether or not they've fumigated or they've tried to exterminate, or any notices going up in as to what they're going to actually do with the trees. They were supposed to have been cut down, but nothing's been done since, with the exception of the email that I received, which was about 2 to 3 months ago. I'm just curious to know what will be done and as to what the time frame would be.
Julie, I'm just going to move this over just a bit because this is the comfort station, but I hear your concern. We did have the parks manager on earlier at the beginning of the meeting. What I'm going to do is ask you to forward that email and any information you have to the community board office so that we can follow up on this and we can get answers a bit quicker than 3 months, hopefully. So if you could forward that, Michael, if you could drop in the community board's address in the chat, I assume they can see it, right?
Yeah, I'll do it in a second.
And drop there and forward exactly what you have, including the 301 complaint and the concerns, and you'll get a follow-up right away.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. And Cicely, you can go ahead and speak.
Thank you. I would just want to offer the information that the site lighting is included within the park, is included in the renovation of the playground. And we're very aware that the lighting currently is only on the perimeter of the housing itself and some street lighting, but the interior of the park has been very dark. So we are working with DOT streetlight department that will give us the approval to install, and they will also be maintaining the lighting in the park. So going forward, after the renovation, I'm certain that the lighting will be efficient inside the park.
I'm going to recommend one thing because I think it might be useful, and I heard the TA president talk about outreach. Is it possible to set up a meeting online to talk about the scope of this playground in a more personal format, meaning a more outside of the community board discussion?
That is definitely possible. I
Okay.
think it might be a good thing since because of again, at the beginning of the design process, we were in the middle of COVID where connection is difficult to make.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect the TA president with your office and see if you can set up a presentation so that folks can see. This is actually really, really nice design and very thoughtful design, and a lot of improvements are coming. And I'm not sure if everyone is aware of it. So I think if you could meet with the TA president there and the board and the residents, that will might help get the people to understand what's going to happen here over this summer or later this summer.
And also one thing I'd like to add is that at the beginning, we weren't entirely clear that the funding will be enough to cover the comfort station. It was not scoped originally, but upon further investigation and consideration, and we're very thankful that the citywide services team able to join and were simplify a lot of the playground design in order to carve the budget to be able to enough to cover the comfort station and also to resurface the basketball court, which originally was not in the scope of work when we first entering the project.
Thank you. Okay.
Just real quickly, it is also possible if there are rats to talk to the Department of Health directly.
Okay, and I hear you. This is obviously, it's not the first time I've heard of rats in this park, but I think there needs to be a way to sort of make that process a little easier. I think we're a little more, we kind of know who to call, but I want to make sure this is taken care of because I know the rats in that area are pretty bad. So
Yeah,
I think
no, I agree.
If we
It's
can
just-
start with with Susan and then
Start with Susan, yes.
yeah.
People should just know that there is also a Department of Health that rats are their thing, so. And thank you. I agree, it's a lovely design and it's also great to have the neighborhood get to weigh in directly.
Wow.
Yeah, just in terms of the comfort station, how many things are touchless in terms of like the toilet, the soap, etc.? How many things are touchless?
So I can jump in. This is Marlisa speaking. We do not use touchless fixtures as standard parks fixtures in the comfort stations. And the reason for that is the maintenance and operations. We have tried them out at certain comfort stations and found that they break very quickly. And it is extremely costly and there are often delays in getting them replaced. So in the interest of keeping the comfort stations functional consistently and being able to fix things rapidly if and when they break, we use standard bathroom fixtures throughout all of the comfort stations. Danya, I don't know if you wanted to flip to that slide again just to show what those look like.
Yeah, I kind of saw them. I couldn't tell. So was the health department consulted about this? Because my whole issue here is in terms of health and touching and yeah. Let me not go further than that because I think we all know all the info about the pandemic and, you know, the variants. So, you know, was the health department consulted? Because you're talking about probably a lot of kids going in and out of here and et cetera. So.
No, we do not consult the health department on the specification of plumbing fixtures. As I said, these are standard fixtures that are used throughout all 5 boroughs and 700 plus comfort stations. To encourage hygiene, of course, we make sure that our soap dispensers are filled and they're, you know, always available. But we do not use touchless fixtures because they break so quickly that hygiene becomes impossible. And the bathrooms become much dirtier with broken plumbing fixtures than they do with touching sinks and soap available nearby. I'm sure you can imagine how dirty they get very quickly when there's not a functional sink or toilet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Michael, do you see any hands raised in the participants?
Yeah, we've got 2. Julio's got his hand up again, and Christine. From the
Okay, so we'll go to those 2 questions, and keep in mind this is going to require a resolution by us. We are going to bullet point it, but since it is a bathroom, I really don't have too many things to say since we're focusing on the bathroom. But let's go to those 2
so Christine,
questions. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I just have a question. Maybe if you can go back to that slide that shows just the bathrooms and how they are laid out, because I'm familiar with the building and there is one handicap accessible stall right now. And it just seems to me that the mechanical room is as big as the public facing to restrooms. And I'm just wondering why the mechanical room is so large, and is there any opportunity to maybe make a little bit more room in the restrooms? Because as I said, right now, the women's restroom is just one, one toilet, and that's basically it.
Thank you for that question. It's a very good one and something that we have studied quite a bit to try and maximize the service to the public that our comfort stations can provide. The variety of utilities that are in the mechanical room, including the rather large electric furnace. I don't know, Donnie, if you could outline on the screen there so people can see. So we have a quite large electric furnace, as well as right next to that, a roof hatch and ladder for access and maintenance of the roof, a 7 to 8 foot long reduced pressure zone device, that's a RPZ. We have tool storage, a slop sink, a water heater, a floor hatch into the crawl space. And then on the wall, Donnie, if you could just point to the area where the electrical panels are. Yeah, we have a series of electric panels and meters there, which by building code require a 3 foot clearance in front of them. So that depth, yeah, that 3 foot area right there is a building code requirement, which cannot be reduced. So we are unable to move that wall dividing the mechanical rooms from the bathrooms in any further without eliminating utility service to the building, which would of course, then mean not having water or not having electricity. So when we're reconstructing existing comfort stations and providing ADA accessibility, we can only provide one ADA bathroom for men and for women. Our new comfort station, when we're building a brand new building, we have more flexibility and we build them larger so that we can build more fixtures. But of course, then those become much more costly.
Julio?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm curious to know about the comfort station. In that area, we have a large, unfortunately, we have a large homeless issue with homeless people residing within the buildings and actually surrounding that park. What is going to be the options that either the park has taken to secure that station? Is there going to be security on hand that will frequently check it, because that park generally attracts a lot or a large number of children as well, and to make sure that it's secure so that there's not, I know 1 or 2 of the homeless people that surround that area tend to be a little violent, or so it's been stated, and I'm just curious to know what is the precaution that the Parks Department has taken for that.
So I can jump in again. This is Marlisa. Homeless encampments in New York City are not unique to this location. They're something that our M&O staff deal with quite regularly. So we have our M&O staff who are on site and are really the eyes and ears for the park. We have Parks Enforcement Patrol who are able to come to the site and deal with kind of recurring issues to kind of de-escalate. And then another thing that has happened at sites where encampments become kind of an ongoing issue, Sarah Roosevelt Park being one of them. We work with third-party groups to provide direct services. Housing Works is one of the groups that we work with to deal with things like needle exchange or directing people to services and shelters. So there's a wide variety of ways that our M&O teams, our PEP teams, and our partnership groups work to address homelessness and the issues that come along with it in our public parks. We're unfortunately not able to address them through the architecture of the comfort station, but I did want to try to give the most thorough answer that I could to that. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I'll just add some addition to that because Julio, you raised some good points, and I want to make sure they're addressed, and I know Kay's going to probably have a much better answer for this, but I am glad that you and Danette and the other people from LaGuardia are here, because there obviously needs to be some attention to this park, and I'm going to make sure you get an avenue to direct attention to the park. Jamil is the parks manager for that area, and I want to make sure you get connected to talk about these issues directly to him. So that we can get a lot of these resolved. Kay is going to sound a lot better than me. Go ahead, Kay.
Not necessarily. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Sarah Roosevelt Park. We do have probably the most effective thing we've had happen has been City Relief, who comes and offers services of listening ear, kindness, and resources. So if you're ever around Sarah Roosevelt Park on Delancey Street, South Delancey, around 11:30 on Thursday mornings, or I can provide contact information for that group. They can't be everywhere, but they do. This is what they do, and they actually have done a brilliant job in our park. And you know, there's just not enough resources for that population, and there certainly isn't enough housing. I agree that the thing that we always insist on for especially children's areas is that in a park where there's a playground, that there's some separation where adults without children are not allowed. So I don't know this design, I in the whole overall park, I can't remember if there's a separation so that there can be people there who do not have children who get to enjoy the space, but there are areas that aren't doable. And, you know, as far as comfort stations, I hear you, without supplying security, you know, whenever that is open, it's an issue. And I don't think the city has been able to solve that in any of our parks. And that's not really anyone's fault, but the only answer we've come up with is if the budget provided to have security there all the time, that it's open. So I'm sorry that actually isn't all that helpful, but.
No, it is, Kay, and I think that first of all, this meeting was helpful because now we have at least 2 advocates for the park, which we were, to be honest, we were seeking not only for security and design, but also for programming in the area, because it's actually a very, very nice park and it's going to be beautiful. But we need to make sure it's programmed and have events there and people who are going to take care of the park. But so it has been helpful, even though we're talking about a $1.5 million comfort station. But any other questions? Comments?
No other hands up.
Thank you. So for this purpose, I really didn't see any issues with the comfort station itself. So bullet point is only one bullet point, and if we resolve to approve the design, because this is going to Public Design Commission, I believe. So any other whereases we will handle later on, but I'm gonna see if we can get a motion to support the reconstruction of the Little Flower Playground. If someone wants to second that.
I will second it.
Michael, I think you have the list of people. If we could take a roll call for approval of this resolution. It's not in order, we know.
Yeah, I'll try, but you know, no promises. David Adams.
Yes.
The use of Google Analytics.
And in case you can't second it, Michael, I will.
Ron Altman.
As you said,
Yes.
they're not showing up.
Robin, please mute yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Promote yourself.
Carlin Chan. Carlin? Ryan
We'll
Gilly.
circle back. Yeah.
Yes. Hello?
Carlin, we heard you. Go ahead, Michael.
Valentina Jones.
Yes.
Thank you. Michael Marino, yes. Josie Velez.
Yes.
Troy Velez.
Yes.
Kay Webster.
Yes.
Daniel Tanow.
Present, not voting, work for the Parks Department.
Thank you. Trevor Holland.
Yes.
Did I forget anybody?
Yeah, did you get me?
Yes, we got you.
We got you, Carlin.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you for that presentation. We are finished with those agenda items. We only need to vote to adjourn, but before I say that, I want to keep in mind that we will likely meet in person next month. I believe we'll be at the same place we've met for many years. And it will be a bit different, but just keep this in mind that the meeting will be held in that location. And I understand that there's a lot of things for us to discuss, but we will focus mostly on ESCR and not just an update. And other members have talked about having other departments there that aren't necessarily there all the time. So if Con Ed is still relevant, we're going to try and bring them in along with someone from the Parks Department so we can have a robust discussion about that. And that's the reason why we paused a bit to get some people in the room literally next time to talk about that. But thanks everyone. We took our vote, motion to adjourn.
Trevor, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
You know, all this stuff that's happening with Con Ed. Sorry, with Con Ed, I know that that's, you know, it's new, it's old. I mean, if that could be addressed more at, you know, with the escrow, that would be helpful, I think. Because
I'm going to try, I know there's a CAG meeting, but I'm going to try to bring them in next month because anytime in order for people to get here. But
excellent. Thanks
right
so
now
much.
we have two things on the agenda. And I know we didn't, the ESCR update for tonight was the amphitheater, but for next month, we're going to try and address a whole bunch of issues, keeping in mind that there is the building does shut as opposed to the Zoom that we have a limited amount of time to discuss those issues that you brought up. But I hear you trying to get Con Ed there, but not just Con Ed, the Parks Department. I hear
Well,
you,
yes, that whole northern end. Okay, thank you
Correct.
so much.
All right, are we ready for the final attendance and hopefully my final meeting? I thought last month was my final.
Well, Michael, I wasn't aware because I wasn't there, but Michael, I appreciate you being on our committee, and I definitely appreciate you handling the Zoom meetings. I hope I'm not looking forward to you leaving. I understand the challenges. Trust me, as chair of this committee, but I appreciate your time on the committee.
I appreciate that. I'll be starting a consulting firm to run Zoom meetings. So.
Hey, you give credit for that one.
Yeah, David Adams gets credit for that. So, all right, final attendance, David Adams.
Michael,
yes.
we already did final attendance with the last vote.
Oh, okay, so then we're done. All right.
Yes, so we just want a motion to adjourn and then
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Good night, everyone, and I'll see you next month.
Good night.
Thank
you,
you.
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Michael.